music, a rest is a silence that's written into the score. It's a deliberate pause, a breath the composer wants you to take. Rests can last a beat, or a measure, and sometimes longer. My sister Anne-Marie and I had a rest that lasted 3 years. I'm Jenny Skoog, and this is Sister Songs. When I was born, Anne-Marie was 3.5 years old. She'd had that long as the baby of the family, the youngest of 8, the one who got carried, the one who got soft attention that comes at the end of a long line of children. She was adorable, too. Baby pictures show her with natural blonde loose curls framing her blue eyes and round face. She trailed our older siblings, sucking her thumb, and I imagine they spoiled her rotten. And then I showed up. I don't remember her being cruel about it when we were little, but somewhere along the way she started saying things. Small things, always wrapped in anger. She told me once that she was supposed to be the baby. She told me that I should defer to her because she was the big sister, no matter what. She told me once that I shouldn't have been born. I don't think she meant it the way it sounds, or maybe she did in that moment. I'll never know. What I do know is that she felt displaced. She told me that she felt like she grew up in my shadow, even though she was 3.5 years older. The math never made sense to me, but it made sense to her. Mom had a soft spot for Anne-Marie, and said as much. She saw her vulnerability, her lack of confidence, and something in Mom reached towards it. But Anne-Marie was resentful of that softness. All she could see was what I had: ease, confidence, a sense that I belonged in my own skin. She wanted that, and she thought I'd taken it from her. For my 40th birthday, Anne-Marie sent me a card. On the front was a printed message, one of those cards where the sentiment comes pre-written and you just sign your name at the bottom. The printed part said, "Sis, it was awfully hard to grow up in the shadow of Mom's little favorite, and I think you handled it very well." I've kept that card. I look at it sometimes and chuckle. It was her way of acknowledging the years of chiding me for our birth order, telling me she forgave me for something I never did, and reminding me that the competition still stood. The card is a perfect metaphor for our relationship as kids. She couldn't just say the hard thing directly. It had to come sideways. Through a joke, a card she found at the store, a printed sentiment that gave her deniability. I didn't say it. The card said it. But she chose that card. She saw it on the rack and thought of me and bought it and mailed it. That was Anne-Marie. Love and resentment wrapped in a Hallmark envelope. The 3 years we didn't talk, there was a reason. I'm not going to get into it here. Anne-Marie was fiercely protective of her privacy, and some stories aren't mine to tell. What I will say is this. There was a crisis. She needed to get away. She ended up in Longview, staying with one of our sisters. And she stopped talking to most of us for a while. We probably deserved it. I don't want to make it sound like any one person was to blame. Anne-Marie was a grown woman. Our family was complicated. We loved each other badly sometimes. We hurt each other without meaning to, and sometimes while meaning to. That's the truth of it. In emails I have from that time, there's a lot of pain. Anne-Marie felt like she couldn't trust me, like anything she told me might get passed along to Mom. She felt watched and managed. She wrote to me once, "Who is my real family? Who will just be my friend and not Mom's puppet?" She asked me, "Are you fishing for Mom?" The honest answer was, I don't know. I didn't know how to be loyal to both Mom and her at once. I didn't know how to love her without getting tangled in a web of she said. So I pulled back, and she pulled back, and the silence stretched on. Sometime during those silent years, Anne-Marie met Steve. Steve was the son of the elderly couple living next door in Longview. I don't know the details of how they got together. I wasn't there. I wasn't asking. I wasn't part of her life. But I know what Steve says about her now. He says that she was the nicest, kindest, most big-hearted person he'd ever met. He said he tried to treat her the same way. He matched her vibe, her humor, her quiet way of being in the world, generous in love, patient, hardworking, caring. The thing that I most love about Steve is that he protected Anne-Marie's boundaries. This was something no one else in her life had ever done. They got married without telling anyone. I found out from my sister-in-law, who had heard it through the grapevine along with everybody else. I didn't have an address to send a card. I didn't even have a phone number. I just had the news, passed along through the family network, that my sister had gotten married and I wasn't there. I wasn't invited or even told. It was so hurtful. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. I understand it now in a way I couldn't then. She finally had something that was hers, a moment no one could orchestrate, a love story that didn't belong to the family or the faith. After a lifetime of feeling second place, she got to go first, just once. She married Steve and didn't owe anyone an explanation. The card she sent me for my 40th birthday, the one about growing up in Mom's shadow, was signed Anne-Marie and Steve and Misha. Misha was their cat. She died eventually, and they adopted Mitzi after that. But in that signature, I could see it. She had a family now, a small one. A husband who loved her, a cat who curled up beside her, a little house in the country with a tree grove in the yard. She'd found her rest. 3 years is a long time to not talk to your sister. Long enough to miss birthdays, holidays, and the small news of daily life. But not long enough to forget the sound of her voice or to remember the songs she played. The thing about rests is they're not the end of the music. They're just a pause, a breath, a space where something new can begin. I started writing her letters. That's what broke the silence. I put pen to paper and I wrote to my sister because I didn't want to die without her knowing that I loved her. That's next week. If this story is resonating with you, I write about faith, family, and leaving Lestadianism on my Substack. You can find me at jennyskoog.substack.com. Next week on Sister Songs, the letters that brought us back, a phone call, a promise, and Bloody Marys at a Mexican restaurant across from a church called the Church of Truth.